99.9 Punk World Radio FM. It is time to set the lights. We got San Diego, California's own, right here from the west to the east to the west. Set the lights right here. Punk World
Hey,
Radio
what's going
FM.
on,
How you doing
man?
tonight, man?
Doing good. I just got off work actually, so it's kind of like had some chicken nuggets, ready to kill this.
Hey, man, honestly, at the end of the day, for one, you can never go wrong with chicken nuggets, man. I mean,
No,
that
right?
right there.
Yeah,
I don't care how old you are. Chicken nuggets is the way to go, man. You get that
yeah,
right kind of barbecue sauce with it. You get the
literally.
the right amount of barbecue sauce on it, bro. It's heaven.
Yeah, no, and special points if they're the dino nuggies.
Yes. You know, I'm surprised they still make those dino nuggies, man. That's one
No,
thing from my childhood they haven't
no.
ruined yet. So,
Yeah, no. Totally, you're never too old for dino nuggies.
and I mean, if they're shaped like dinosaurs, it just tastes and hits different, man. I don't know. It's still the same as chicken nuggets, but it just tastes different when you bite the head off the dinosaur first.
Yeah, no. And have you seen the little? There's like this image circulating online. It's like a mountain of mashed potatoes with like they make a volcano gravy and like the broccoli trees and the dino nuggies just kind of. I don't know. It's like that. Yeah, that's just it's the dream.
And I have to ask because obviously I know you're a busy guy. You just got off work. You know what I mean. You're trying to digest them chicken nuggets. So I'm not going to take you away from your evening too long. But I got to take you back to the beginning of this amazing band. And I have to ask, like, what is the story behind Set the Lights? Like, how did you guys actually first meet and come together to form this phenomenal duo?
So, actually, I started this by myself in like 2016-ish is when I wrote the first song for it. I used to tour. I used to be a frontman for a metalcore band, but I didn't have like any creative control there. And I was like a huge emo kid growing up, and so I always listened to like that the pop punk and even when I was touring with my old band, like part of me always kind of wanted to go that route because there was like I was never even really allowed to do too much like clean vocals, and I was just like I want to sing, and they're like, no, you have to be hardcore, bro. And and I really enjoyed it, but like part of me always wanted to kind of go back and do that. So after that band, we all kind of ended up going our separate ways after life just kind of happened, and we all went our separate ways. And I was like, hey, well, I have time now and I can do this. So yeah, I started just kind of writing, and Set the Lights kind of became my own little thing. So the name Set the Lights just kind of was my idea as like to get everything ready, get the lights set up and the stage ready to go because we're going, So that's kind of like it's time to go. That's what inspired the name. And my girlfriend who's actually helps me out doing all the admin stuff, and she's the one that keeps me in line with like calendars and hey, answer this email, this guy, and blah blah blah. Her sister is actually started dating my guitarist, and that's how we kind of it's just this random dude shows up at my house one time and he sees my guitar and starts playing these emo songs, and I was just like, whoa, what? And like kind of we started doing some acoustic shows. We played some emo nights and here and there, and we were just and finally I was just like, hey man, well, you want to just kind of jump on with me? And he's like, yeah dude, and here we are. And so all the songs that I have right now are I started writing by myself in 2016. So it wasn't until after everything was done that I brought more people on.
And did you actually do any performances when you were just by yourself or do any recording? Because I have to ask, I do know I've interviewed a few people that actually said that they have their own solo bands that I'm honestly they make it sound so good by doing all the instruments themselves. I've talked to people that do the drums, bass, guitars, sing, and I'm just like, how? Like, how do you do that? Like, I'm lucky that I have one talent, let alone five.
No, well, I have done like performances by myself and like with my old bands, but with Set the Lights, it was really just kind of some. I'm getting a little away from the mic here. It was really just a couple of solo acoustic performances there. We did have one performance where we hired some session musicians, but it was kind of like a tiny desk type thing. So we did play. We played an hour-long set actually, and so it was like all of our own originals and then a bunch of covers. So we went like from even like All Time Low, in which we also did like some Bad Omens and Dayseeker and stuff like that covers. And but other than that, we have not had any like live performances, but we're trying to just kind of get music out there, get it in front of people, just kind of make friends. And that's what we've been doing, and it's kind of been working out. And we actually have we just got a lead guitarist, and we're now just kind of looking for a drummer and a bassist so that we can like start full time. We're also in the up and running for the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands type thing, so which is actually kind of a couple of days left for voting. So it'd be kind of cool if our first show is Warped Tour. I don't know. I'm kind of just knocking on wood here.
And also, January 3rd of 2021, you guys actually released your song titled Step It Up. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story and inspiration behind this earlier release single within your band's history, because I got to say, I absolutely love that song, man.
What? That's crazy. So that was actually like my first song, and Step It Up was my kind of my song to myself, because it kind of is talking about like, hey, dude, you're doing all of these things and you're looking for people to blame, but at the end of the day, you're just making excuses for yourself, and you're not doing any of the things that you said you were going to do, whether in life and relationships. In this case, it was like with my music, I kept, and you see it a lot too, that everybody says or whatever, that they want to do this and blah blah blah, but you don't see too many people actually going out there and making some shit happen. So that was kind of my song to myself, that I was kind of saying like, hey dude, like stop all this other stuff that you're doing, just step it up essentially.
And also, November 7th of 2024, your song You Won't Sleep Alone Tonight was actually featured on BSB TV as their track of the week. I was wondering, how did you guys actually get discovered by them? And of course, what was it like just having your music being featured as their track of the week? Because they got a really phenomenal and stellar platform.
Yeah. So actually, I had Danny on Facebook since like forever ago. It was like this group called Pop Punk Kids. I think it's run by maybe We Are Triumphant. Like, I'm not sure who's the owner of it, but it's this huge group on Facebook. It's just kind of like where that's where I got Danny from, and so this was way before I don't think even BSB was even a thing then. But he started this other group called the Pop Punk Networking 101 group or something like that. And this was a time when I was kind of just looking for, I didn't have anybody then. It was just me. I had no idea how the music industry worked, because when I was touring in my metalcore band, I was just kind of like, hey, here's the lyrics, here's the microphone, get up there and look pretty. Well, not pretty, because I wasn't allowed to look pretty. I had to look hardcore. But so I didn't really do much. So I didn't really have any contacts. I didn't have like, I had no idea of anything. So I was just all these little groups I was just kind of joining and stuff like that. And years later, when I just kind of opened Facebook one day and I find this like BSB and submit your track, I was just like, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? I put in the link, and it just kind of, it had this like snowball effect where we started like tuning in and like chatting with people, and this kind of like two-man project started like gaining a little bit more traction and stuff like that, and they really loved that song, "You Won't Sleep Alone Tonight." And that was one of my favorite songs to actually record, because I had always wanted to do like an acoustic song that just blew up in the end. And my friend Bebari, who was the other vocalist that was singing with me, I actually met her maybe like 15 years ago or something like that. It's not like we talk every day, but it's just one of those people that you meet, and there's something that tells you like, hey, keep this person close. Don't lose track of this person. Because I had heard her sing before, and I was just like, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know for what, but she is going to sing with me one day. And so when I started writing this song, I wrote it with her in mind, and I was just like, she would fit so perfectly in here. And she started. I sent her just a video of me playing it, and it was just like a shitty little cell phone video. I had only written like the first verse and like maybe like the first word of the chorus, and she really liked it. And I told her, hey, you take it, do whatever you want to do with it. And she just blew me away, like, because she did a little piece of it, sent it to me, and we hadn't even really seen each other in person. We hadn't really we got together and rehearsed what we had like one night before actually going into the studio. And we actually we had the first verse, no chorus, no bridge, no nothing, and we were just kind of like, well, let's go into the studio and we'll see what happens. And we actually just wrote the rest of it in the studio and just kind of figured it out as we went along. And that was really cool to have such a stellar response on BSB. And I'm really thankful that I had, Danny on Facebook, and I was able to make that connection, because I never really, it's one of those things you never really think anything is going to come out of it, but you're like, yeah, this might be fun someday. But yeah, it's kind of had this really cool effect where we're starting to grow, and in more ways than just like, hey, your song is really cool, bro. And it feels like there's a genuine like little click and this little crew forming, and that's really cool.
And when it comes to "You Won't Sleep Alone Tonight," you can really tell that you both had amazing chemistry on that song. Like, you guys flowed very well together. You can just tell that it was a very seamless work experience.
No, I would have to agree. She was actually a little bit nervous about recording that, because she had some issues where she had actually hurt her vocal cords before. She was singing a little too loud and a little too high, and she actually hurt herself, and she was really nervous about singing high. But I tried to be like as supportive as I was able to be, and we were kind of listening to the same type of music, and her voice was, like I said, like I wrote it specifically with her voice in mind. So I feel like that's part of the reason why we can get this kind of like chemistry going on there. And it just kind of, and I think the fact that I gave her creative freedom to write her own verse, and because I was originally, what my idea was, that the first verse was going to be like, hey, this guy just kind of complaining and wallowing in his misery about my girlfriend left me. And then she's going to come back and fire back like, well, you did this, which is why you suck. And, and then instead she hits me back with nothing but like just love and like, hey, man, I know you tried. And I was like, what? How did you do that? Like, I was like, she sent me like a little, like a voice clip on WhatsApp. And so I sent her like a little acoustic, like just back track, I guess. And she sang the first part of of her verse, and I was just like, dude, I don't know what you did, but this is beautiful. I was, it was originally going to be like a sad slash angry song, and instead she kind of came in as kind of like the voice of reason here, and like, hey, no, I understand, you tried and I appreciate you. And I was just like, stop, you were supposed to be angry at me, and instead you're telling me how wonderful I was and how you had the greatest time. And so it just kind of evolved into, and this was great too, because this all happened in the studio, so it wasn't planned, it wasn't, so like the bridge where we're kind of like singing back and forth, it was kind of like the height of this conflict that was between these two people, and the end is kind of like this bittersweet, like, hey man, you know what, we tried, but this isn't right, so nothing but love in both directions, but like, so yeah. And I was just like, dude, like, I don't know what we just did, but but I'm in love with it. And so that was a really, really, really amazing song, and it was my first collaboration ever. So I really could not have hoped for anything more, honestly.
And I know you briefly brought this up earlier on in the interview, but your song "Forever Young" is currently a part of the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands, where you can win $100,000 in a record deal. I was wondering if
Yeah.
you can actually tell us a bit more about this competition, and of course, how can your fans and the radio station listeners become more involved and help increase your guys' chances of taking home first place, and of course, taking the stage at Vans Warped Tour?
So that would be, damn, dude, that would be so super cool. So we're in this little contest that people can vote for us every single day, right? And we have the link to vote in our Instagram. We're at Set the Lights on every platform, but Instagram is where we're most active. And so we're trying to play the return of Warped Tour. I think that anybody who was a musician, at least 10 years ago or more can share this dream that, like, damn, dude, playing Warped Tour would be like awesome. For when I was a kid, there was probably nothing bigger than Warped Tour for me. I didn't know too much about the industry. I actually didn't go to a lot of concerts growing up, so I didn't really know about all these other festivals or anything, but I knew Warped Tour. And and I remember this contest since I was in my metalcore band, and I think they used to have like a leaderboard where you can see. We can't see now, or maybe you can, but I don't know how. But it'd be really cool to have our first show be the return of Warped Tour, because not only is it like obviously something that's like a really, really huge platform, and really a chance to get our music out there to everybody, and to really show everybody what we can do live. But I think it would be almost poetic, man, to be like, it's not just Warped Tour, it's the return of Warped Tour. And it's this project that has been sitting on the back burner for almost 10 years, and in those 10 years, I've just kind of been trying to learn about the industry, trying to make some connections and stuff. I'm not great at the whole social media and content creation, and, well, is this the song of the summer? Like, I don't know too much about that, but I do know that I just really want to play some music, and if that could be Warped Tour, man, where else? I didn't really sign up with obviously I would love to win, and I hope that we do and we get to play there. Not even the gear, but just it obviously, damn, it'd be really great to win that grand prize. And you know, because that's a lot of gear. That's a whole back line, you know, that we don't need to worry about anymore. But even just a chance to get out there in front of people, man, you know, that's honestly like all that I want is out of Set the Lights, at least, is to just play. And you know, I feel that we have some songs that, you know, can connect with people, especially, you know, if you were a teenager in the early 2000s, and you know, you listen, you like, you know what you listen to, you know. I was huge into like Panic at the Disco, Mayday Parade, From First to Last, you know, My Chemical Romance, all of these kind of like cool poppy emo / alternative bands. But you know, I think that anybody who liked any of that would vibe with us, because Set the Lights is essentially kind of paying tribute to all of those bands, because you know, at the end of the day, they're what influenced my teenage years. They're what you know, kind of made me the person that I became. And you know, we're a better place than Warped Tour for all those people to be. So.
And March 19th, 2025, so just last month, you guys released a 6-track self-titled EP. I was wondering if you could actually tell us a bit more about the record, and of course, where can we snag ourselves a copy of it today?
Well, we don't have physical copies. We, you know, all of our music is available on, you know, most major streaming services. It is a collection of some of the previous singles that we have previously released, and with the addition of, you know, two new tracks, Forever Young and Golden. I wanted to release it kind of without, we didn't have like a huge you know, marketing plan or anything like that, because it was honestly like I was tired of just sitting on it, you know. And I feel that like, hey, it's not going anywhere. It's just there. And you know, I'm kind of at this point where we've got this ball rolling, and I just wanted to do more with it, you know. And so it is a collection of, you know, the past almost, you know, 10 years of my life, and it's kind of the story of, you know, my ups and downs. And yeah, it's just something that I was tired of just having it sit there, and I felt like I had enough traction and enough, you know, enough of a following to just say, hey guys, here it is. I shot my first music video for Set the Lights, which was a super fun experience. It was really tiring and exhausting, but also just a great time. And you know, I got to do the artwork was drawn by me, and which I thought was really cool, because I've never really released my own art to anybody. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but at the end of the day, it's another thing that I was just like, well, who cares? You know, it's something that's cool. It's something that is a piece of me. I love, you know, anime and manga. So, you know, it's another piece of me that I just wanted to say, like, hey guys, well, here it is. And it was kind of like my saying, like, well, I'm ready for more. You know, I have this thing going. I feel like it's getting some traction, and I want to do more. So here it is, and it's on all major streaming platforms. Obviously, you can make donations and on Bandcamp and stuff like that. But really, it was just kind of my just saying, like, hey guys, here's me.
And obviously, we talked about this amazing album, and we also talked about the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands. But what is next for Set the Lights? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? What's got you here live on the radio station airwaves tonight?
what is next? So we're currently hunting aggressively for a bassist and a drummer. And once we have that, like, I don't have any problem with session musicians, but I really want to bring someone on board who kind of shares my ideals. What I ultimately would love to do is start a label of my own one day. And I have I'm slowly gathering a cool little team of people who all have different backgrounds and different talents who I think would be like an amazing fit for it. But that's long term, obviously. But a little bit of a shorter term goal is we want to start just playing some shows. We have some friends, Never Sunny up in Seattle, I believe. So we're trying to find musicians so we can start kind of making our way up there, like towards Washington. Maybe do like a little West Coast tour to start everything off. And then we have already actually started working on composing new music. So we might have something out pretty soon.
And before we actually part ways here tonight, obviously I know how to follow San Diego's finest, Set the Lights, across all social media platforms. But for the people down here on the east coast of Canada, sorry, I should say up here on the east coast of Canada, where can we actually follow you guys across all social media platforms? That way we can stay updated on the Battle of the Bands progression, the new music, and everything you currently got going on.
So like I said, for our main thing is of course our Instagram, which is at Set the Lights. That's where we're most active. We do have YouTube, TikTok, and what else is there? I feel like there was one. We have our own website. It's setthelights.com. That's still kind of under construction. That's really just a glorified Linktree right now. But setthelights.com is going to give you guys like all of the relevant links. But like I said, our main one is Instagram, and we do have like we're pretty active, and we do at least on messages. Anybody can just reach out and send a message, and if not me right away, my girlfriend who's actually doing my management is usually on top of me, like, hey, like, respond to this, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like that's kind of cool. Like, at the end of the day, I know it's kind of like a thing that on like with content creation nowadays, where it's like, hey, congratulations, you found a band that still replies to messages. But like, honestly, like it's true. I'm at the end of the day, like more than Set the Lights, I'm Mike. I'm Michael, and I'm this nerd who just likes to talk about nerdy shit. And and yeah, but my main thing is Instagram. So anything you guys want to know, mainly on there. Comments, messages, it's all welcome. We there's currently like, I think there's like 3 days left in the whole Battle of the Bands thing. I'm not sure exactly by when we would know. I know that I know there used to be like some sort of like leaderboard thing. Right now, I don't know if there is something like that, but I see that when we're on that little page where you can see all the bands and vote, there's like some sort of like little health bar, and I see as I scroll by, some bands have a full health bar, some have like very little health left, and all I know is that Set the Lights is always full. So I'm like, hey, that's hopefully good. So I do hope to get an update within the next week or two. And if not, we're still going to be looking for, musicians so we can start doing a little tour and start getting some shows and some new music out there.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Mike, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station airways a bit of your time, man. It was such an honor speaking with you tonight. I really hope that you take the dub on the Ernie Ball competition, because you guys definitely deserve it. But again, I'm super stoked just to hear that you guys are making new music, and I'm really excited to hear what prevails when it does get released to the general public. But for now, man, have yourself a wonderful night out there on the West Coast, and we definitely shall talk again here sometime soon.
Oh yeah, no, dude. Thank you for having me, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated. You know, we're really excited about everything. But thank you for now. We'll keep you.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome, man. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Likewise, dude. Thank you.